I fell and hit my head hard while walking on fresh snow. And this year marks 10 years since I was in a vegetative state in a hospital bed. My name is Michael Schumacher. It was a cold day in the mountains and I decided to ski off the marked trails. I've always been an adventurer, someone looking for thrills and challenges, both on the track and in everyday life. But that day, December 29th, 2013, would change my life forever. I skated across the fresh snow, feeling the wind bite my face, when suddenly I lost control and everything went blurry. The crash of my head against that rock was like a silent scream that echoed through my entire body. I knew at that moment that something terrible had happened. Darkness enveloped me, and I found myself in a fight for my life. The doctors did everything they could to keep me alive, and my family stayed by my side, facing the unknown with me. Days turned to weeks, weeks to months, and I was still trapped in a world of shadows and uncertainty in a vegetative state. With each little progress, my family and I celebrated as if we had won another world title. Every move, every ray of hope, was a victory against all odds. But there were also moments of despair, where I wondered if I would ever be the man I used to be. Silent tears of frustration were frequent. If you want the second part, leave a comment below.
Chris Watts has reported to see the ghosts of his family haunting his prison cell. He had a dream of his daughter Cece dancing beside a chair in his prison cell. Ever since he had that dream, things move in his prison cell by themselves with no explanation. What I'm about to say is going to make you sick. Chris Watts actually wishes that his family would come to visit him in dreams more often because he misses them and he wishes that they were still here. A former cellmate of Chris Watts has came out and said that Chris Watts blames his mistress for him murdering his family, and that if it wasn't for her, his family would still be alive and happy. Even more disturbing, Chris Watts said to a source that he wants to present himself as a good guy so he can get out of prison and prove to everybody that he's really not that bad. I don't see him getting out of prison at all, and hopefully he never makes it out.
This girl unalived her little brother, then consumed his private parts. This is 5-year-old Maicon Rauch and his 18-year-old sister Karina, and they both live with their mother Daniela in Brazil. On April 4th of 2019, Daniela had to do some shopping, so she left Maicon back at home with Karina. Daniela returned home over an hour later, and for some reason she wasn't able to open the front door, just wouldn't open. Daniela had yelled for her children to come help open the door for her, but Karina yelled back that she couldn't open it for her. Daniela started to get worried, so she had contacted her brother-in-law to come break down the door. Once they both got inside the home, they were met with a horrific scene. Karina had unalived Maicon, partially decapitated him, and mutilated him. The family dog started to attack Karina, and she retaliated and bit the dog. Karina then started to attack the uncle by throwing things at him and hitting him. She even tried to flee the scene, but she was luckily caught. Once police had arrived and saw Maicon's body, they saw that his body was surrounded by black candles. That's when they discovered that Karina had cut and eaten some parts of Maicon's body. Karina was quickly arrested and taken to the police station. At first, Karina refused to speak, but later on, she confessed everything. She stated that she asked Maicon if he wanted to come in her room to play some games, and of course, Maicon agreed. Karina grabbed a pillow, pinned him down, and suffocated him. Karina then grabbed a knife and tried to remove his head. She had left Maicon partially decapitated. Karina then inserted the knife into his eyes and burned his feet with a lighter. She then removed his genitals and ate them. Karina was charged with aggravated homicide, attempted murder of her uncle, hiding a dead body, and biting the family dog. Karina was sent to a psychiatric hospital, and she continues to receive medical, social, and psychological care.
Guys, Ruby Franke's neighbors are spilling it all. Okay guys, so I'm back talking about Ruby Franke, who is the YouTube mom who is apparently famous for her parenting and homeschooling things that she would show on there. You guys know she just got arrested for allegations of child abuse with her business partner. If you don't know about that, I do have a couple videos. Go find those. My first one tells you all about how they found the kid that prompted this whole investigation finally. Now, my other video this morning was about her daughter, Sherry, who apparently said finally on her Instagram, and that they had been trying to report her for a while. Well, here's more from the neighbor. So a neighbor says that in September of 2022, she actually called Child Services of Utah. But when they called Frankie's home, no one was there. So I guess it stopped. The neighbor goes on to say that she just wants those kids to know that they are thought of and they are loved, because she feels like that they probably thought that they were abandoned and had no hope. She says that she's actually spent so much time and tears trying to report Frankie and the situation with these kids to CPS and Child Services for the past year. Now, Frankie's husband, who's the father of the kids, was seen at her property on Saturday as a man had come to the house and was removing the YouTube sticker from her van. Now, another thing that the neighbor said was that she was outside pulling weeds from her lawn, and she noticed that the 8 passengers van was over there at her neighbor Jody's home, and that the kids were outside also pulling weeds. The neighbor said that, she went on as long as she could. It was upwards of 100 degrees outside and so freaking hot, and she finally couldn't take it anymore. And she noticed that even after she stopped, which was hours after being out there in the sweltering heat, the kids were still out there doing the yard work. That neighbor also said that they never heard sounds from the house that you would think that you would hear from kids being there and enjoying life. They never really heard them playing outside, doing fun things, and they just always thought that was pretty peculiar. So another resident also was quoted as saying that everybody in the neighborhood is just kind of breathing a collective sigh of relief. So it seems very apparent that people around the Frankies were on to something being wrong for quite a long time. This is just so crazy. I really think that there should be an investigation as to why Child Services had not done more sooner.
Around 11:25 p.m., Jessica places a 000 emergency services call.
Hello, this is Alison from Police Emergency. We just received a call from this number.
Yes, I need you to get the ambulance and the police out here immediately.
To which address?
Please come. I need you. This is a immediate life or death situation.
Which suburb or town is that in?
St. Clair.
Okay,
Clair. Listen, can you talk to the neighbour? I'm flustered. Can you just talk to him? Could you? Because my hand's bleeding. Yes. Thank you. Can you talk to him? Oh, my finger's broken.
Hello?
Hi, what's happened?
I don't know. We was just at home. She just come in screaming for help, and when suddenly I opened the door, she said, just help me and call the police or ambulance. And she said to me, she had a fight with her mom, I think.
Okay.
My mum tried to stab me and I killed her, I think.
So did she just say her mum tried to stab her?
I don't know.
Yes,
yeah.
with a knife. And in self-defense, I think I killed her. Yes. Can you tell him to come immediately?
Yeah, can you please just come immediately, please?
Okay, so she believes that she may have killed her mother?
Yes.
Yeah, she said like this, yeah.
Yes.
Is she with you at the moment?
Yes.
Yeah, she's in the front yard of my house.
Okay, all right. So how old is her mother?
How old is your mother?
My mum's dead, I think.
But how old is she?
57.
57. So is she not conscious?
Nah.
I stabbed her because she tried to kill me.
Okay, and you didn't check if she was breathing?
No, we can't
Could you
go
come
there.
to the house? There's a kid in there. Could you come with me, please?
No, I can't go. Sorry about that.
Okay. There's a kid, a 4-year-old kid on the phone in the house.
And is her mother severely bleeding?
No, because we didn't go to her house because I'm outside of my house because I can't go there.
Okay.
Can I talk to her? Lady, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
My fingers are broken.
Okay.
Mum has had enough of me because I admit I've been a challenge and this ongoing thing's been going for months anyway. She had enough of me. She grabbed me by the hair and dragged me from my room all the way to the kitchen, and she got a knife and she tried to stab me with it, and I grabbed the knife off her because I thought she was going to stab me, so I stabbed her back. And I was so heated up with anger, I just kept stabbing her, and I took off her head. Her head is, I ran to my neighbour, not this neighbour, my other neighbour before this one, who's on the other side. He was at work, I told him to call the ambulance and the police immediately. He's going to do so, but no one's at home because everyone in the family is at work now. And I had my mum's head in my hand. I know this sounds insane, but I was taking it for evidence to show the neighbour. In the struggle, in the frustration, I didn't know what I was doing. I cut her head off. I chopped her head off with a knife.
Okay, what type of knife was it?
There was all sorts of knives. There was about 7 knives I was stabbing her with. A few of the knives broke. When that knife broke, I got another one and did the same.
Where's the knives now?
They're all in the kitchen. There's blood everywhere. There's blood everywhere. Yes.
And you're outside the house?
Yes. The ambulance and the police have rocked up. Do you want to stay on the phone?
No, that's okay. What's your phone number, Jessica?
This is my mum's phone number, but my mum's not here anymore, okay? She's gone.
All right, I'll let you go speak to the police.
Yeah, hang up, okay?
The details of what happened in the moments leading up to this phone call are all derived from physical evidence, the forensic pathologist, and Jess's recollection when later speaking to both law enforcement officers and psychologists. I would advise that at this point of the video, the graphic description of what occurred and the injuries sustained may be highly disturbing for some. Please skip forward a few minutes if you are aware that detailed descriptions of violence may be upsetting to you. Rita had become so concerned with her daughter's behavior on this day that she decided she will call an ambulance to take her to the hospital. Jessica fiercely did not want to go, and when her mother tries to call, Jess restrains her, gaining possession of the phone. At this point, Rita makes her way to Jessica's bedroom to take her daughter's phone. Jess follows her into the room, and a struggle takes place where both women fight over the device. Jess, who is much larger than her mother, prevails and knocks Rita to the floor. She grabs her mother by the hair and drags her into the kitchen. Here she uses the weight of her body to keep Rita pinned to the ground. Jessica grabs a kitchen knife and begins to stab at her mother's head and neck, ultimately decapitating her at the C2 vertebra. The neck wound is described as ragged, with innumerable overlapping stab wounds, at least 100 sharp force injuries present over the surface of Rita's entire head. There is a stab wound that entered her right eye and extended into the brain lining, and the tip of Rita's nose had been cut off with an upward motion, following another wound that would extend into her nose and through to the bony plate where her brain sits. Rita's tongue and eyeballs had been both cut out, and it looks as though the eyeballs were squeezed. Later, Jessica confirms with police that after her rage subsided, she curiously squeezed her mother's eyes as she explored this sinister side of her mind. There were 33 stab wounds to Rita's right hand and 62 to the left as she tried to defend herself. 7 knives in total were used in the attack, 4 which broke throughout it, and 1 that was serrated, leaving bruising where it connected with the body. If one thought that this attack couldn't be any more horrific, at some point whilst Rita was being killed, her 4-year-old grandson awoke and rushed into the kitchen to help. He grabbed the lid of a toy box and attacked Jess with it, jumping on her and hitting her, trying to get her to stop. Jessica turns around and thrashes at the child, knocking him away. The boy sustained a deep knife wound to his cheek running parallel to his ear, and this required surgery. He also sustained multiple wounds to his hands and head which needed stitches. Unable to stop Jessica, the boy withdrew to the living room, where he was found surrounded by piles of vomit. I don't often interject my own thoughts this early on in the video, as I try to keep it all based in the facts of what happened. But I cannot not say anything at this point. As I sit here and write these words, I am absolutely appalled and disgusted by this horrific display of violence. My heart is sinking so terribly low as I learn about how this child both tried his best to stop the attack, then ultimately withdrew and vomited due to the intensity of the moment. I will talk about this more in my ending summary, but I wanted you to know that as the presenter of this information, I too am absolutely appalled when I learned of this, just as I imagine you are right now. Jessica continues to stab, hack, and twist at her mother's head and describes herself to a psychologist as a butcher in this moment. She removes the head, and with the 2 phones in one hand and her mother's head in the other, she walks out onto the street. Blood stain analysis shows that she dropped the head on the concrete, picked it back up, walked a little further down, then dropped it again, this time leaving it as she speaks to a neighbor. Despite claiming that her mother had ripped her hair out, dragged her around, broke her finger, and tried to stab her, Jessica was found to have no injuries. Police interview a blood-soaked Jessica on the street, where they say she is constantly rambling. Quote, "Can I ask you?"
It has been 2 years since Summer Wells went missing, and watch this interview. Summer's mom, Candace, shows the inside of their house, and she explains what happened the day that Summer went missing. It's interesting hearing her side of the story. This is where Summer's room was, downstairs in the basement.
Right here where I could see the boys and on the kitchen table.
Got him.
And I watched her walk in there, and afterwards, when she was already in there, I walked over and I said, "Quiet," and he looked at me and I said, "Watch Sissy, I'll be right back." And that's when I walked back over to my mom's.
Okay.
And I was fixing her brace and stuff like that. And I said, "Well, Mom, I got to go back over with the kids." And that's when I come back up into the house.
Okay.
With the boys.
Okay. You walked into the house.
I walked into here. Get up. I walked in here and them three were sitting right here in front with their eyes glued to the TV, like always. And I said, "Boys, where's your sister at?" "Well, she just went downstairs, Mom, to play." So I went over here like this. So this is where the stairs are.
Okay.
It's actually down under there.
Oh, down into her bedroom.
Our bedroom, and then hers is on the other side.
Oh, okay, in the basement.
Yeah, in the basement.
Well, this makes sense now, see?
And then I yelled and I said, "Summer, Summer." And she didn't. I listened for a minute. I didn't hear nothing. So I went like this. This is how I always get down here.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if you want to come down here or not.
Do I got to be tiny to get in there?
No, you should.
Can we come in from the other side?
Well, we can, but it'd make more sense if you went this way.
Okay, I'll follow you. Oh, man. Good grief,
No, I know if my 6-foot husband can fit down here, you can.
Huh?
My husband's 6 foot. I know if he can fit, you can.
This... Oh, my gosh. Way to go.
This is my husband's room.
Okay.
And over here, well, it's a mess again.
That's all right.
But this is where Summer and little Waylon was. Because Waylon's only 9.
Okay.
And they stayed down here. And these are all her toys, all her Paw Patrols,
All her movies. She's got a movie about the Savior.
The boys I brought back down here after she went missing because I didn't want them upstairs by themselves anymore.
Okay. And this is all her toys.
These are all her toys. All these toys that are down here are dang near all hers, except for like the trucks and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the game system. That's the boys'.
Okay.
But them are all her toys.
And she's really into Paw Patrol. I see that.
Yeah, I've been collecting from day one. And these are all her little ponies that I've bought. And then these are them girls that she likes. Them new fashion, I don't know what they are, little princesses or whatever. She's like all kinds. Here's one of them bracelets.
Oh, that's just one of them what do they call these? Oh, this is little pony bracelets.
Yeah, I don't know what they were really called. But she liked them, and so I just, every time I go to the garage sale, I'd buy her what she wanted.
Okay.
You know, whenever I got a little bit of money, I spend it on the kids.
Yeah, this is her, I understand her now.
Yeah.
Even better. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is really important.
But yeah, I come down and I searched. I looked up underneath the beds under there. We can't really get on. I can't get under there.
Yeah, yeah.
But I looked under there, looked under every blanket I could possibly look under.
Yep.
And then I come over here and I looked on both sides. I didn't see nowhere. And I don't recall if this was locked or not. I don't recall that.
Okay.
But I know, it's hard on that. But I know I did come out here and I said, "Summer," because sometimes she'll sit right here and just sit here and play just for, you know. And usually when she comes out and she goes directly that way up to the swing.
Oh, okay, so this is like her.
Yeah, she just
where she
walks.
come running out.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, you can see the path here.
Right to the swing.
Right, you can see where she could have run right up to
and
here.
this is all the further she would go. She wouldn't leave.
Okay.
She wouldn't go out nowhere else.
Tell me how that day began.
It was still dark. The house was black. And I heard Dylan thundering down the stairs in his boots because his bedroom was upstairs and ours was down. And I was startled because it was too early for him to be up. And I opened my bedroom door and I yelled, "Dill," and he had run past my room down the stairs, and he was at the front door. And I couldn't see him, but all I heard him say was bye, and then he slammed the door and left. And I was very concerned. I woke my husband immediately and said, something is bothering him. You know, would you be home today? Will you talk with him? And my husband worked out of our home, and he said, yes, I'll be home. I'll be home all day. I'll talk to him when he gets home.
And then what happened?
About noon, I was getting ready to go to a meeting. I worked for the community college system. And I had left my desk and came back, and the message light was flashing on my telephone. And I thought, well, I better listen to this. I picked up the phone and listened. And it was my husband's voice, and he sounded horribly upset. His voice was cracking. He could hardly breathe. And he said, listen to the television. Something horrible is happening at school. It was such a day of confusion. Police came to our home. We were asked to leave our home. We had to sit outside. We sat on the ground all day.
At that stage, though, you must have thought that it was more likely that your son was involved in the shooting as opposed to being shot.
We could hear through the window the television that had been left on, and at one point we heard 25 people are dead. And I remember at that point thinking, you know, if Dylan is really doing this, he must stop. And at that moment is when I really, I prayed for him to die. I mean, I thought, something has got to stop this. This is whatever it is that's going on. It took me a very long time to believe, months to believe, that my son was actually responsible for killing and hurting people. Up until that time, I believe I was living in really an extreme state of denial, just saying he was there, but he didn't really kill anybody, or, you know, he wasn't what they're saying.
It was Eric.
Yes, it had to be Eric.
Feels so much better now when you're not around. Dancing more than I have before, and my body's not touching yours. No, I won't feel colder, 'cause I'm never sober. Living it out, feeling too high. I do it all, I don't think about you at all. 'Cause tonight I feel so alive. So don't give me a call.